G'day legends, and believe it or not, there is actually some news coming out of the MMA world while we sit and wait in this drought as we try and get past UFC 316. I know you are all dying to hear me make some Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena content, but I will never, ever do that, okay? However, while nothing's been going on over in America, all the red hot steamy news has been coming out of Thailand. Jon Jones and Nate Diaz, they're over there filming Tough Season 2 or Russian Tough Season 2, which is essentially just Dagestan versus Chechnya, the TV show. And I'm going to break down everything that happened over there because apparently Nate Diaz, he had to flee the Tough House, the Russian Tough House. He had to flee out of there, yeah? And this was brought to us by Jake Shields, former UFC fighter, one of Nate Diaz's mates, who went down to Thailand with him to just back him up. Now, if you want to see, you can watch the entire episode. The whole thing takes place on Jake Shields' own YouTube channel. I will link that down in the description below. But there's a lot of dead air, and he shows pretty much all of the B footage that he can get his hand on through. It's his hands on. It's just a lot of them wandering around. The video goes for about half an hour, so I'm going to give you the TLDR version of it, just the points, and also have a little bit of a laugh at Jon Jones because Jon Jones is involved and it's funny to laugh at Jon Jones as well. Now the question might be, how did we get here? How did we end up where Jon Jones and Nate Diaz are involved in this? And that's a great question because it seems like nobody knows. Not even Jon Jones and Nate Diaz actually understand what they're meant to be doing there. Like once they get there, it seems like everyone in the house had already fought each other. It just seemed like there was about 100 Dagestanis and Chechnyans, about 50-50 aside according to Jake Shields, while Nate Diaz and Jon Jones just sort of hung out, right? And unlike Western or American reality TV, where these are highly scripted and choreographed shows, the only difference between an actual dramatic television show and reality TV here in the West is just that the people on reality TV in the West have absolutely zero skill in acting. Whereas a Russian reality TV show, it turns out it is just a let's get these people in a house, turn the cameras on, and let's see what happens. Maybe we can build a show out of this. According to Jake Shields, this was insanely unorganized. There were no scripts. There was nothing going on. It was just the guy who was paying for the show, who's essentially the producer in Western terms. He was the director. He was the script writer. He was the caterer. It was just him telling his camera crew to point cameras at things. But the one thing they did organize was this bloke here. Now, this bloke here, he seems to be their little gremlin, their little menace, their little Conor McGregor. You know, when Conor McGregor's doing too much cocaine, just throwing dollies at buses, yeah? He seems to just pop up around the house and start getting into fights. And no matter how many fights he gets into, they kick him out, and he just seems to come back in to sort of stir up the drama. He's exactly like Conor McGregor. He's just around to stir up drama like Conor in the UFC. The only difference is, I mean, these Chechnyans and these Russians on these shows, they're meant to be all Muslims, right? Which is like, they shouldn't be doing any drugs or alcohol. And Conor McGregor, he's always on cocaine. This guy seems to be just going off sped energy, you know? And quite frankly, sped energy is more terrifying than cocaine because eventually on cocaine, you will come down. But being a sped, that's for life, brother. Anyway, as far as this story goes, this potato here keeps going around causing trouble. And the Russians and the Chechnyans, they keep kicking him out of the house, and he just keeps sneaking his way back in to keep causing trouble. Well, in Jake Shields' own words, he gets fucking sick of the whole thing and decides to slap this guy so he'll stop messing around with them. Let us listen to Jake Shields on his YouTube channel now.
So eventually, it got fed up. And I went after him, he kind of half fell, half went down, and I hit him. And I went, to mount him. I was pissed off at that point. I was trying to make an example of this guy so fighters would stop testing us. And right when I started to go off on him, I got just blitzed from the side, not where the fighters was. So a couple guys started blitzing me, which to me seemed like they were crew working there, not fighters, because the fighters were in the chair.
And this, of course, leads to a big problem, right? Like, I'm sure you're starting to see it. I get what's meant to happen on the show, yeah? There's meant to be Nate's team, there's meant to be John Jones's team, they're the coaches, Dagestanis versus the Chechnyans, and they're meant to kick off and brawl with each other. Apparently, every now and then, one of the fighters, the Dagestani guys, like to go at the coaches as well. The problem is, apparently, when Jake Shields and Nate Diaz start getting the better of the situation, because they're trained athletes, and the brothers from the cliff, they're just over there hanging out in Thailand. But when Jake Shields and Nate Diaz start to get the better of the situation, the camera crew, the guys filming the show, are also Russian, and they don't appreciate the Westerners getting a win. So they jump into the fight as well. And this is when Jake Shields and Nate Diaz realize just how truly fucked they are, because it's them versus not just the fighters, the producers, the camera crew, the entire house, the 100 Chechnyans and Dagestanis. If you're not Eastern European, you don't get the Balkans, mate, right? The Croatians and the Serbs, they want to battle each other. But the moment that someone from outside of the Balkans comes in, the brothers are back together again. And it seems to be like the Dagestanis and the Chechnyans have the same idea. We'll battle with each other, but once these Westerners start getting a win, we're all unified again, and we're getting these Westerners. So apparently Nate Diaz and Jake Shields, they're looking around the house, and they're noticing that the only people they have in the entire room is just John Jones and the entourage that John Jones has brought with him. And unless John Jones is looking at a vagina, he's not a very angry person. You know what I mean? And quite frankly, John Jones is surrounded by 100 buff, hairy Russians. John Jones is very pleased with the situation, to be honest. In fact, you can see after the fight kicks off, John Jones is there taking selfies with the house. Don't believe me? Check it out right here. This is the footage of the fight going down. Oh my God, that's loud. Let's turn down a little bit. This is the footage of the fight going down. Nate Diaz is rushing in to try and break things up. I'm not sure if this is the fight Jake Shields is talking about or just the footage that he could get his hands on. It's bloody madness. But look, I'm just going to scroll ahead. And once everything is done, the guy who's got his t-shirt ripped, who is directly involved in the fight, is at the back with John Jones taking selfies. That's John Jones. This guy's got his t-shirt ripped open, and John Jones is like, this is a hell of a time. This isn't annoying to me at all. I'm loving this. I'm living my best life. John Jones is having the great time, and the Diaz and Shields, they're getting the hell out of there. They're like, no, this is not for us. So Nate Diaz, Jake Shields, they're like, fuck this, we're getting the hell out of here, let's bounce. So they go to a hotel down in Thailand, right? Now, they're delivered to this local hotel away from the Russian Tough 2 house by the Russians. So the Russians know exactly where Nate Diaz and the crew are. They know where Nate is, they know where Jake Shields is. They literally drove them there, right? And according to Jake Shields, they wait there for a couple of days, just enjoying the rest of their holiday. They're already in Thailand. They're unwinding. All of this time, the Russians have been the ones leaking the news to Twitter. All this news to Twitter that we've been hearing about how Nate Diaz has disappeared from the Russian Tough House. He beat up one of the Russian fighters. The Russians are looking for Nate Diaz in his head. He's fleeing Thailand. This is all just completely made up from the Russians to try and stir up some, I guess, to get some controversy going for the show, to get some clicks for the show. But the entire time, Nate Diaz and Jake Shields are at the hotel. They're at the hotel that the Russians dropped them off on. In fact, the producer of the show comes back to the hotel and tries to offer Nate Diaz more money to come back. This is bloody great. This is bloody great. I hope that this Russian version of Tough ends up on the internet somewhere. I don't care if I read it, if I need to reset my VPN to a Russian VPN. This sounds way more interesting than whatever the fuck Shevchenko was doing last season on Tough. And listening to Daniel Cormier heavily breathe through his coaching sessions while Chael Sonnen stands on the sideline and just wrongly yells out the fighters' names from this season of Tough. Russian Tough. Season 2 of Tough, John Jones watching Nate Diaz versus a house of Chechnyans and Dagestanis sounds way more interesting than American Tough. So that is what has been going down in Thailand while John Jones has been kicking back, tweeting the entire time saying, I'm living my best life. I'm growing as a person. I don't know what John Jones is doing. He is quite literally sipping back on coconuts, staring around the MMA Twitter feed, all blowing up, demanding him retire. And every single time he looks up, Nate Diaz is getting into another punch-on with some Russian bloke. It's bloody madness, boys. It's bloody madness. Anyway, if you want to see the entire breakdown in detail with Jake Shields, the person that was in the room talking you through it, please feel free to head over to his channel. His channel is linked down in the description below. If this is your first time here, g'day and welcome. My name is Dougie. I make an MMA video every single day of the week, and I try and go live at least 3 times a week, at the very least 3 times a week. So if you want to know when all that happens, hit the notification bell and the subscription button so you know when I go live. Let me know down there in the comments. How many Dagestanis do you think it would take to defeat Nathan Diaz? Yeah, no wonder Nate got out of there real quick. He had to sleep in that house. Imagine that, dude. You're Nate Diaz. These Russians hate you. The Dagestanis hate you. And you've got to sleep in that house. I'd be getting out of there too, mate. I'm not having my throat slit by some pissed off Chechnyan ex-warlord. No bloody way. And like the video if you like the video. And if you're a paying member of the channel, thank you so much. Appreciate all of you. Your names are up on the next slide. And until then, I'll see you all later. Goodbye.